Hey Wes,
What's up, Bryan?
what's up with you?
Dude, I'm ecstatic. I'm in front. Whoa, hold on.
What up?
YouTube in my ear. No, happy to be back in front of a camera and microphone, man. Like you, I took my last episode off, so it
Mm.
feels like it's been a month since I've been on YouTube. So, what about you? What's been going on in your world?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the cats out there have been. Oh, and everybody, please let me know if you can hear Wes in the chat, because because I had to change all my PC settings over the last day or two, and now I have no idea what works and what doesn't. So please let me know because you know how this works. Without Parole, pretty much wire coat hangers and duct tape. Dude, I was just done. I was just done Monday. I couldn't. Have you ever just like been angry all day and I just can't shake yourself out of it? Like, why am I angry? Right? And I was like, I can't go up in front of the cats and lie. Right? And it's like I like to get up here and have a good time and hang out with you guys and be fun. But Monday was not going to be fun at all, and I just needed to call it a day. And so, all right, it's good they can hear you, which means, Wes, we can start the show. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
There we are. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live not every Monday, I guess, but most every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. We do it live because that's the most fun way to do this. We get to interact with all of you cats out in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All 103 or more of you. Make sure you click that like button, or Miles Dyer will send, really angry emails, and we don't want that because we like Miles. We don't want to piss him off, right? My name is Bryan Powell from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, and the gentleman to my right from the deep, 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 deep south. That's not accurate. Is it accurate? I don't know geography.
No, I'm not super deep. I like AJ is further south than I am, so I'm kind of in between somewhere.
Nice. I'll bump your volume up just a little bit because people said you were quieter than I am, so we took care of that. Always appreciate the help EQing the show in the chat, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I don't know geography. People were like, "Oh, where's Wes from?" And I was like, I don't fucking know. Like you have a guy on your show and you don't know where he's from. I'm like, he's from somewhere, man. Doesn't matter.
I'm from Virtual Strangers. It says it right on my thing there.
And if you don't subscribe to Wes and his friends over at Virtual Strangers already, make sure you click the link in the description below and give them some love because guess what? I don't know, man. They're like the only VR channel I watch. I give you an S rank, man, but like that's just me.
Yeah, no, I didn't make the chart. Did you see the chart?
I saw the chart, and I also didn't make the chart, and I've never been so happy to not be included in anything in my entire life, Wes. That was fucking awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, I did too. Like it was a big controversy, wasn't it? Like some dude that I've never heard of made a chart, and now everybody's losing their shit over it. Like who the hell even is that guy? Who cares what he thinks?
No, nobody cares, and he's not, as far as I can tell, a member of anybody's community. So we all just kind of pointed, laughed, and moved on. But hey, this shit is what it is, and I'll always associate it with the cool cats. No charts required. Hey, real quick before we move on to the actual show, just remember you can listen to this as an audio podcast if that's the kind of the way you do things. Our friend Jay Meow makes sure that this thing gets up on audio services, podcast services of your choice each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Super convenient if you're driving or just don't want to stare at our faces. Because probably don't want to stare at Wes's face. Don't fucking roll your eyes at me. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
no
inside joke.
Intended.
Inside joke.
No disrespect intended, Bryan.
People like, Wes and Bryan aren't friends anymore. We don't know what happened. But yeah, so there's plenty of different ways to consume the show. Don't forget we have withoutparole.com is now a thing, thanks to Jamie out as well. And of course, if you need timestamps to watch the show, because you just want to skip right to the good stuff, well, you're skipping over the good stuff as we speak. But luckily, our friend Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry makes all that shit happen. He gets me timestamps after the fact, and that happens usually a few hours after the show. There he is. I knew it. I knew fucking Ollie was in the chat today. It's like, what are you doing here live, man? Right? You're gonna have to sit through all of this nonsense. It's nuts.
So. Yeah, no, he's going to be clicking around blindly, and nothing's going to be there.
Absolutely. Wes, last week you and I tackled a difficult topic. It was certainly rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. We talked about Quest games, and we talked about the games.
A lot of people, Bryan, or a couple people.
This many people, right? Yeah, but we only have this many people that watch, so it's a decent percentage, right? It's like this big to this big. Beginning of the night, end of the night.
Right.
After pizza, before pizza. I don't know what we're talking about anymore, Wes. But if you didn't like last week's show, I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. I do appreciate every single cat out there who said that they were happy that we did the show because for the following reason. Because I need to educate myself about things outside of the realm of PlayStation VR. I play a lot of walkabout mini golf, but I don't think that really cuts it when it comes to knowing the Quest library. And so I downloaded a bunch of Quest games. I've been playing a lot of Quest games, especially when there's nothing else to play on PSVR. This is a perfect time to kind of educate myself. And then when Steam VRFest rolled around this week, the first VRFest ever, I believe, is that right?
That's correct.
Well, we didn't really know what to expect. We knew there were going to be discounts and demos, but that seemed to be a bulk of what happened this week. A lot of great demos dropped on the store, and a lot of the demos that dropped on the Steam store are upcoming PlayStation VR2 games. So I feel like, Wes does a lot of PC stuff on his channel, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing my due diligence over here to preview those games for you in any possible way that I could. And so here we are. That's what we're doing today. We are literally previewing PSVR2 games that will be coming out next year, likely. Some developers are very reluctant to give any kind of release window, which is fine. You got to respect that a little bit, right? In a time where everybody is missing their release dates, release windows. Get down from there. Seriously, don't make me come after you. Where's my squirt bottle? Just do whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. This is your place. You just let me stay here.
She's going to anyway, right?
She's going to do it anyway. Yeah, she's really pretty respectful, I got to say. But now she's like all up on the kitchen counters, which she's never done before. We're previewing PSVR2 games, and we did that through playing games on Steam, something that I did not want to do, Wes, because I didn't know if my computer was capable. I didn't know how many hoops I was going to have to jump through. And I will say right now, my computer was more than capable. I did not have any problems whatsoever. I ran almost everything at the highest settings, and had a nice fluid experience. So very happy to hear that. And Wes, we're going to bump you up just a little bit more here. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. There we go. Hopefully that works. So I don't know. What do you think, Wes? Just to kind of get the ball rolling here. How have you been feeling about the Steam VR Fest? Was this kind of an exciting week? Have you been getting to play a lot of games that you were unfamiliar with, or games that you were curious about? How has this been for you so far?
Well, yeah, it's still in progress for me. I've played. At this point, I've played a lot of the same stuff that you played, and which is what we're going to be talking about here, and what we'll be talking about subsequently later on my show as well. But yeah, man, I'm pretty happy with this one. While this is the first ever VR focused Steam Fest, there's always a VR component to like the Future Games Fest or the Next Fest or whatever it is they call it. They do one of these every few months, and there's typically, a few dozen VR demos involved whenever they do one of these things. The difference this time with it being VR focused is there are so many demos. Like, it is insane how many demos there are, and a lot of good looking stuff too. There's typically a lot of garbage whenever they do one of these things.
Mm-hmm.
The quality level seems to be a little bit higher this time. So I'm happy to hear that, not only that your computer's holding up, but running everything on high. I mean, that's awesome, dude. And that you didn't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it to work. That's great. And, for those of you who up there who might be a little bit upset about, us doing Quest games and us doing Steam games, it's like this. Like, I'm sure anyone who's ever paid attention to politics, and when you hear someone talking about voting for the other side, like Republicans who vote for Democrats or Democrats who vote for Republicans. They always say this saying, like, my values didn't change, my party changed. And I kind of feel like that's what's going on here. It's not that we really prefer to play on Steam or prefer to play on Quest. It's just the PlayStation VR platform has changed. There's nothing there anymore. It's gone. So what are we to do? We have to play the VR where it's at. And this week it's on Steam, right?
Agreed. Yeah, and I'm very, very happy that we're able to do this because it's really, really difficult to even when PlayStation VR was in full gear. It was so hard for developers to try to send us not like beta builds or alpha builds of their games so we could preview them. They would always have to send them to us on other platforms, PC or Quest or whatever it was, just because of the way that Sony runs things. And so I'm just to know that I kind of have this option to be able to keep doing this and be able to preview games for you guys and do this. This was really it felt like I took a really nice step forward this week that I've been hesitant to take for years. Not going to start covering PCVR games, not really going to start covering Quest games, but if those are the things I have to play upcoming PSVR2 games on in order to talk about them, then so be it. And thank you all for all the support out there. I just gotta say, I don't know what's going on in the chat. but when the first comment you kind of like read is from Barb Zarkov, the Underground Game Cat, he says it's a bit like gay porn. You got to watch it once in a while to check to see if it's for you. I'm pretty sure he's talking about the conversation that we're having, but whether he is or not, I wholeheartedly agree, Bob Zarkov. Make sure you always check in on your gay porn just to see if your interests have changed.
Yeah, thank you, Bob Zarkov. That's a good reminder. It's been a while since I checked, so.
Well, boy, do I have some links for you, Wes.
I bet you do.
All right, dude. Let's talk about this first game on the list. And actually, and just as I was saying, hey, all the games I played ran super smooth. I do have to say that that's not completely true, but at the same time, if a game wasn't running totally smooth, I had to sort of weigh the options. Do I really want to go in and try to fix this up, or did I get a good enough impression? And so the first game I want to talk about is Requisition, because, dude, I mean, why don't you, real quick, here's a little bit of background. If you're unfamiliar with Requisition, this is from the developers Arcadia VR, who made Hinge. And we've talked a little bit about Hinge VR. We've actually said that was coming to PlayStation VR 1. Arcadia VR has changed their mind on that. Kind of like too little, too late. But hopefully, and they have said that this game is coming to PSVR, whether that be PSVR 1 or PSVR 2. We'll see what comes of that. I think we all know the answer, though, really. But this is a zombie survival game that is almost exclusively dependent on your ability to craft things quickly. What did you think of this, man? This is my gameplay here. So you'll see me doing a lot of stupid things.
Like, I feel like there's potential here. I thought the game looked really good graphically. I liked most of the physics involved, although there were a few points of weirdness. But my overall impression coming out of the demo is that there's a lot of work involved just getting started in this. Like, they do have an extensive tutorial, and there's a lot to learn, but it's all text tutorial where you walk through a series of rooms. There's volumes written on the wall telling you how to do everything that you need, and then you can spawn in items to learn how to craft the various different things, whether that be weapons or traps or bombs. There's a lot of different things that you can make in this game, and that's all cool. But I felt like I spent about 45 minutes preparing to play the game, and then I played it for about 20, and then I was done at that point. Like, I was ready to quit.
Yeah, it seems overly complicated. The tutorials seem endless. You walk through one door and there's just like a wall of text on the wall saying this is how you do this, and then you walk a little bit further, like this is how you do this, and it's just an info dump that is just you like a better tutorial would be hey, like you walk in and you start playing the game, and like every few steps it stops you and goes, hey, just so you know, blah blah blah, and allows you to kind of do things as you go. It was way too much information to kind of take all in, and so I found myself and get just kind of pushing forward and getting into the game, and then by my own fault, not really knowing how to play properly, right? It seems like duct tape was an essential thing to start taking these items and sticking them together and using them together. Never found a roll of duct tape. I have no idea where you find duct tape.
You still don't know where the duct tape's at?
Nope. But I did the same thing as you, though. I went through the tutorial. It's on your... Wait, you just have it at all times?
Yeah.
Oh,
you have a hammer. You have a hammer on one side of your chest. You have
Okay.
duct tape on the other side. It took me a while to figure this out, by the way. You have a special hammer which breaks items down into their component parts. So you can break things down into like metal shards or wood shards or whatever with the hammer. And then there's a roll of duct tape on the other side of your chest that you use to craft things with. And it's always
The
there.
tutorial does tell you this, too. That's the crazy thing. It says there's 2 dedicated inventory slots, one for this and one for this. But I thought I had to find them first. I never just... That was really dumb that I just looked for them. And so once I kind of ran around a lot, there's right now, like for this demo, there's like one environment. It's kind of a house out in the country with a garage, and it seems like a big enough map to sort of have to defend. And so I'm running around, I'm finding objects, and then eventually you just see this menu on the wall that says spawn a wave of zombies, and you go, oh, okay.
It took me forever to find that, Brian, because
Same.
After I like went into the deathmatch mode and out, and then I went into the sandbox, and it just seemed like it was an empty sandbox. I went back out, and then I spawned back in the sandbox again. I wanted to make sure I was on single player because nothing was happening. So I went out, I chose single player, I went back into the sandbox, and when I went back in the second time, I noticed this poster on the wall inside the bus where you start.
Mm-hmm.
It said barricade the windows, set traps, defend from zombies. So I said, all right, I got to go do this. I have to follow these instructions. Then the game will start. So I went through the trouble of barricading all the windows in the house, which took forever because you got to put 4 boards on each window.
Where did you find the boards? Where were those?
You have to take your hammer and break the tables to get boards.
Break the tables. I was trying to break bookshelves. Because, dude, I will say this about this game. I have a lot of hope for this game, and because there's so much interactable stuff. Interactable. I never get that word right. It's the kind of game you want to play when you put on a VR headset. You want to run in and be able to pick up absolutely fucking everything, right? And you kind of can. And so but that also means that there's a lot of confusion. Be like, well, is this useful? Is this useful? Is that, what am I doing here? So that is very cool to know that you can break the tables. I just assumed that I could break, like I said, the bookshelves or like these cabinets and stuff, but didn't seem to be the case.
Able to. I didn't even try that. You might be able to. That's kind of what the hammer's for. So, maybe you can.
Did you play it single player?
Yeah, I did. I did play it single player. And like I said, it took me 25 minutes just to get the house ready. And then I started wondering, okay, now where's the station to make the traps? Right. The second step was make traps. And then that's when I went to the shed outside and found that you can literally spawn everything. Like you can spawn all the weapons, infinite ammo, whatever you want. You can take it a zombie at a time. I hit wave, and I think the wave is just endless until you stop it.
Seems like
I killed a bunch of these guys, and they just kept coming, man, until they finally got to me.
Yeah, this seems like something like once it's more polished, you can see like there's a lot of jank here with the animations, but the zombies are kind of cool. I got to say, I thought I could funnel them up the stairs, and instead of them just walking up the stairs one by one, they started just jumping and climbing over the banister, which is really fucking cool, man. I got to say that. So these guys pretty acrobatic. The animations need some work, but I do think this is a very cool proof of concept, if nothing else, where I think with 4 players, once they kind of polish this thing up, this could be really, really fun to jump in and just kind of, play here and there.
Yeah, this game launches next month, Brian. Like review keys are literally like it just went up on Keymailer yesterday.
Yeah, so maybe the polish is asking too much. But
I mean, it could be launching in the early access, and then stuff like this is typically excused. I'm like you. I have a lot of hopes for this. I think the character models and the maps, everything looks and plays relatively well. There's just a few things that need polished up, and obviously, I would like a tutorial rework. But they've got a lot here, and I think that if they do it right, they could have a hit on their hands.
for sure, for sure. And I think this is a good segue actually into Donatello the Scientist GameCat's tip. Thank you so much for the $5 tip. It says, do you envision these PCVR titles you demoed to be a representation of what PSVR2 games will be like, or do you guys think they will get further polish? I mean, I'll say that some of the jank that I had came from. I'm assuming just from compatibility issues or whatever it might be, where it was there's just like some weird jank here and there, some weird frame rate issues, whatever. And obviously, I expect that to be optimized for PlayStation VR2. Sony's pretty rigorous about making sure that that everybody hits the 60 FPS. So I think from a technical standpoint, I think these will be more polished on PSVR2.
Oh, 100%. I think this is a more representative of kind of what could have been for PSVR 1 if it weren't for self-imposed limitations from Sony, be it the reluctance to release new controllers, or the OG PS4. I'm losing the word that I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they didn't let them do pro exclusives. I think if they had come out with new controllers, if they had allowed for pro exclusives, that PSVR 1 could still be releasing these games today, that are very similar to what we experience.
Yeah, games like this make me realize we're just going to be flooded with games on PSVR2, right? Like this may not be like the greatest thing ever made, but I think there's going to be a lot of cool experiences like this that are just going to flood the PlayStation Store once PSVR2 is out there. I think there's going to be, I think curation not only on PlayStation's part, but also like your part, Wes, and my part, to be able to like kind of point people to good games, because it's no longer going to be this thing where it's only one VR game came out this week or this month, right? I think it's just going to be. I think the floodgates are going to open, and we're just going to get a lot of stuff. So I'm actually really looking forward to that, because one of my favorite things to do is kind of like give hidden gems their due, the exposure that they need to have, because so many good games got past people on PSVR 1, or I mean every console really, right? So yeah, it's been one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, well, this is kind of the strength of PCVR, or has been up until now, are these indie games, right, from smaller studios, which obviously they don't stand up to the big AAA big budget games, but that doesn't mean they don't have value, doesn't mean they're not fun. So yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see something similar to what we saw on PSVR, like 2018, 2019, where a lot of the ports started to catch up finally.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see that again in the very early stages of PSVR 2.
Me too. And please, judge this game however you want to, but don't judge it based on my gameplay. I mean, even though I ran around and fiddled with a bunch of items for a while, for like 20 minutes, and couldn't figure out where the duct tape was, eventually I had an axe in my hand, and I was like, let's spawn these fucking zombies. Let's just do this shit. Let's see some action. And so it's just ridiculous. Like, this is not how the game should be played. This is more like a Home Alone zombie invasion game, right? Where it's like you want to rig your house from top to bottom with explosives and traps, and here I am just standing outside with a fucking axe, showing how not to play the game. So while I had fun on my first run through, this is a game I want to go back and play properly.
You think you think they're going to add like another mode? I hope it's not just sandbox and then multiplayer. I hope there's some kind of I don't want to call it a story campaign, but at least some kind of progression through a number of levels. That story or no story. Typically, I'm not a big fan of just being placed in a sandbox and told to go have fun.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, as somebody who loves single player campaigns, as somebody who I like, to be honest, like as fun as this was, I would still much rather have Hinge be on PSVR2 than this, because I would enjoy that single player horror adventure more. And so do I hope that they do something like that for this game? Yes. Do I expect them to, knowing that they're, maybe not the biggest studio in the world? Not really. Not really.
They're probably going to lean into multiplayer. That's what I predict. I think that this is going to be a multiplayer focused game, and then the sandbox is just kind of an add-on for people who don't have friends like us.
It's probably a smart way to go too, because every time a VR game comes out that's not multiplayer, the first thing that people ask is, "Are you going to add co-op to this?" Like, oh, sure, we'll just flip that switch, no problem. We got a couple more tips here before we move on to the next game. We got Sadukar, 7th Legion. That's a fucking badass name. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but it sounds badass. With the 5 quids, has been on the channel a very long time. Many years, 6+. Wow. Just never chat. Super chat to remind you I'm still here. Also, why do you look younger now than 6 years ago? It's all lighting and camera angles. I guarantee you, if you saw me in real life 6 years ago, and then you saw me in real life today, you'd be like, "Ooh, what happened?" Like, maybe you should get back on drugs, Bryan, because this whole sobriety thing is not working for you. But thank you so much. It's good to hear from Sadukar, 7th Legion. Just sounds badass. MRI with the $5 tip says, thanks for keeping us up to date with the new games to look forward to on PSVR2, and appreciate you braving PCVR to demo these so we don't have to. You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much for enjoying it. There's got to be a better way to answer that than that. I should probably tell you guys, fucking real sick right now. I'm like running a fever and I'm just sore from head to toe. So if I just start spacing out at some point, just don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Dude, let's talk. Dude, let's talk about. Here we go. Let's talk about Hubris.
Yes, let's talk about Hubris.
I gotta tell you, man, I missed out on the last demo because I wasn't ready to do some PCVR gaming. But what was that? A couple months ago?
Yeah, and for the record, the last demo was this demo. It's the same. It's had some updates, like a few small things changed in it, but it's largely the same experience.
Okay. Oh no, why isn't this playing the? Uh-oh. I wonder. So I exported these videos right before the show. And it seems like this one didn't export very well. No. All right, I think I just have to play the trailer. That sucks. I captured all this footage. I captured the demo from beginning to end, which I don't know, what is it, like an hour long?
Yeah, if you take your time, you probably get an hour out of it. It's a pretty lengthy demo. What I really like about it is how they really give you a little bit of everything in that demo, don't they? Like if you're wondering if it's going to do this or do that or do this or do that, they show you, yeah, it does all that, right?
Yeah, it was really reassuring, because this is a game that's been, we've been talking about it for a while. I interviewed Kuhn on, was it April's PSVR last year. This was at one point, I can't even believe they were going to try this. Is at one point going to be a PSVR 1 title. I mean, dude, after playing it today, I just couldn't even fathom this running on PSVR 1. It looks beautiful. Like, I mean, it's a stunning game. And so educate the masses, man. Like, educate me. Is this a good looking game compared to other PC VR games you've played, or have I just been playing PSVR 1 too long?
Yeah, this is on a short list. Like, this might be. Well, it's certainly top 5, that I've ever played. Like, there aren't very many games I could name that look better than this. Like, I would put Lone Echo in the class with this. I would put Half-Life Alyx in a class with this. As shitty as it ran, Rhythm of the Universe Ionia looked really good on PC as well.
Oh, interesting.
And like, there's only a few. Warhammer, Age of Sigmar Tempest Fall looks really good. But yeah, man, there's not a lot on PC that looks this good. And typically, when you get a game that does look this good, it does not run this good.
Right.
Which is kind of the surprise. Like, you're telling me you played all the way through this with no problems. Like, that's surprising. And you captured footage like that. That blows my mind.
And I was streaming it in
Wow.
Discord simultaneously.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was like I was just doing everything I shouldn't have been doing to capture good footage, and it was no problem. The game actually recommended that I play on the highest settings, and I was like, I don't trust you, and I picked the medium settings because I knew I was going to be streaming, because I knew that I was going to be capturing the footage, and it still, dude, even on the medium settings, it still looked stunning. Like this was just a good looking world. And so for anyone who's curious, like what is going on here, like what kind of game it is, like this is sort of the everything you want a VR game to be type game. This is, we give Immortal Legacy, or I give Immortal Legacy. I don't think I've gotten your opinion on it, Wes. I give Immortal Legacy a lot of praise because it tries to do all the things that flat screen games do. You've got your running and your shooting and your cover based stuff and some cool VR interactions, and then you've also got, as I say, climbing already. I've already forgotten what I've said, but it's all the things that you'd expect in a flat screen game. They tried to do. Mostly successfully in VR. Hubris kind of takes that to the next level and says, yeah, not only did we do all of those things, Bryan, but now you also have swimming and everything looks stunning, and now you're operating vehicles, and it's just way more polished than something like Immortal Legacy. So to me, the hour that I played this, which had a little bit of everything, this like, I have no doubt in my mind, as long as it doesn't turn out to be like a 90-minute game, that this is going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been like the question with this one is like how long are the episodes going to be, right? And I think this demo kind of puts that to rest a little bit, because I mean, if this was a 2-hour game, surely they're not putting out a 1-hour demo, right? Like we're going to get at least 46 hours per episode in this thing, and I think that's awesome. I think if we get a 5 to 6 hour campaign out of this first episode, what do you think? I mean, certainly $30 is not too much to ask. I would argue that even 40 really wouldn't be too much for a game of this quality.
Yeah, I mean, I think prices in general are going to be it's going to be a really big question when it comes to next gen, because they're without a whole lot of competition on, during the PSVR1 era, you could get away with charging $40 for your, possibly $25 game. I probably get some hate for this, but I think Blood and Truth is a $25 game all day, every day, right? It was polished, but it was super short, and if you picture playing that on a flat screen, I just don't see it being the $40 game they charged for it. So I do think that with all of the competition, prices on VR games are going to come down slightly, because there's going to be more to pick from. The quality is going to be higher, and in order to sell your game that might not be AAA quality, you might have to sell it for a little less than you would have last gen. And so $30 for this. Meanwhile, whereas if it came out last gen, I would absolutely expect it to be 40, maybe even 50. Robinson the Journey pulled that. So, okay, seriously, what are you doing, bud? Sorry. Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is just quality, and like I said, as long as it doesn't end up being a super short game, they're claiming what? I think they claimed 4 to 5 hours. And I really hope they get away from using the term episode 1 or part 1 or whatever. Just call it Hubris. And then when you release episode 2 or whatever it is, part 2, chapter 2, then just call it Hubris 2, right? Just call it the sequel to the first game. Stop using these terms like episode 1 or chapter 1, because people do not trust the fact that there's going to be a chapter 2. They look at games differently, don't they, Wes? When you see chapter 1, you go, this isn't the full experience. This isn't the full game. And if they don't release chapter 2, I'm not going to get the full game experience. Meanwhile, if they just said, hey, this is the first game in a series. This is number 1, and then we'll release a sequel later on.
Yeah.
Then people have very different expectations when those types of words are used.
It's because of our history, right? It's because of Vader Immortal. It's because of Tarzan and Exorcist and all this stuff that typically the episodic format has been used to overprice and overcharge people for short experiences. This is not going to be an experience, nor do I believe it's going to be all that short. What I do think it's going to be is everything Bryan said, which is everything that you want it to be. It's going to be a sci-fi story-driven action adventure game that gives you a little bit of everything, and is super polished and is as beautiful as anything that I've ever experienced in VR. So, yeah. So it would be nice to get rid of that stigma that comes along with episode 1 or chapter 1 or whatever.
Wes, one of the things they don't really show off in this trailer, and I hadn't heard much of before, was that and I don't know how deep they're going to go with this, but there was a machine I encountered, which everyone who played the demo encountered as well, and you have to place the tentacles from these squid jellyfish creatures that you kill into the machine to create what looks like a double-headed dildo. But what it really is a big, basically a big stretchy vine for you to be able to cross big chasms with, right? You stick one end in this wall, you throw the other end at the other wall, and then you climb across it. Do you think that, to me, if they don't take that further, like this kind of crafting system, because right now it's like, oh, you put 2 tentacles in this machine and out pops this vine thing. I feel like if they don't take that system further, then they've really missed the boat, because I think in a game like this, crafting can absolutely add to the depth, or the feeling of depth at least.
Yeah, and you kind of get the feeling like that's exactly where they're going with it, because you have this, this inventory system and backpack with all sorts of slots in it. You're going to be collecting things, and you even find things along the way. If you pay attention, there are things you can collect and put in there that I have no idea what it's for. So you assume it's going to be more of this sort of thing, right? Crafting and so on. So, yeah, I agree. They kind of show you the recipe on the front of the machine that you need to make this thing. Yeah. I imagine before we see the end of this story, we're going to find other machines with other recipes on them that we're dumping components into.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Also, something I realized while playing PCVR games for the last 24 hours, it was funny because after Saints and Sinners came out, I was sort of like, oh man, every game is going to start feeling like Saints and Sinners. There's just the way they do stuff. There's going to be, here's your map on your chest, grab the backpack off your back, and that's your physical inventory system. And I was shocked and appalled that we never saw that again on PSVR. And then like every game that I played, Wes, over the last 24 hours, all had some kind of backpack system that I was like, oh, this is absolutely Saints and Sinners right here. This is exactly what that is. And I think that Hubris has a kind of a streamlined version of it. You just kind of throw things into your backpack, and then you just kind of tap your wrist to bring up your inventory, which is really simplifying things, but at the same time, like I do think it's important to get these games to be VRAF, in order to instead of just hitting a button and then a menu pops up and then you use a pointer to grab something out of your inventory. Like, you definitely want to be grabbing these things out of your inventory and then having them in your hand, using them, feeling like you actually just reached into your backpack and grabbed something. So I'm really, really happy to see that games are finally adopting these systems that I thought were going to be everywhere. It just took a little longer than I expected, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, you're right. Games on PC and elsewhere have been using these inventory systems for a long time now. And I like to give credit to Apex Construct for kind of breaking this inventory system, because I think that's the first example that they were the first to kind of do this. And it really has been a revolutionary thing that a lot of games have picked up. So shout out to Fast Travel Games with their innovation that they showed on that game all those years ago, because it really has stuck and been iterated upon by Saints and Sinners and other games to really become essential to modern VR games.
Absolutely. And then they followed it up with Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife.
They did.
I wasn't going to let that slide. We got Random Guy and Company with the New Zealand $20 in the chat. Says, I think covering other platforms until Q1 2023 is a great idea. Also, Bryan, if you've got a decent PC, it sounds like you do. I'm shocked just as much as you are. You should try NVIDIA Broadcast. You'll never have Sirens on my end ever again. I got to ask, man. Would people, do you want the Sirens on my end to go away? I feel like at this point, it's just part of the show. It's like the third host.
So time to PlayStation VR GameCat says, we love Sirens on my end. No.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I do. I only feel bad when people are driving in their car and they immediately look in their rear view when they're driving because they hear sirens coming through their speakers. So I think for the safety of everybody, I would much rather get rid of them. But I promise you guys, by the end of the year, there will be T-shirts for Without Parole that say sirens on my end. We will not let that go down without eternally memorializing it.
Is it going to be a picture of your ass with like police lights on it?
Like literally my end with sirens?
Yeah, sirens on my end. Yeah.
I'm just going to venture to guess that won't sell at all. Hey.
Yeah, you've never been to Kentucky, brother.
I have been to Kentucky. I don't know.
That's true. You went to college close to here, didn't you?
No, I went to college in Massachusetts, but I lived in Tennessee for 5 years, and during that time, I occasionally crossed the border, and every time I did it, I said, why did I do that? Don't ever do that again, right? There are people literally standing at the line going like, we know you're here, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. Anyway, dude, we got to move on to onto the last game. I feel like. Yeah, let's just move on to the last game. I just wanted to kind of give an end cap to Hubris, but I think we covered everything. It's everything. It's everything. Now let's really hope that that my footage for this one, yes, my footage for this one seems to have worked. This is, at long last, you guys, Undead Citadel by Dark Curry. These guys have been making this game for fucking ever. Do you have we were just speculating in voice chat before the show, Wes? Do you have any idea how long this game's been in development for, or how long they've been talking about it for? How long we've known about its existence?
It's been a while, man. It's been a long while. I want to say, oh, geez, I don't know, man. I'm thinking like Gamescom 2018. They were demoing this to people. Like it's been a long time they've been working on this.
Right. Now, so a few different things before we even get the conversation going. We should let you know exactly what the demo entails, and that's that all you will see here is the Horde mode. The Horde mode is the only part you're able to access in the demo. There's 3 different modes. In the mode I think most people are curious about is the campaign, the adventure mode, where this game is not a swordsman VR. This is not a Blade and Sorcery VR. This is not a Hellsplit Arena, right? This game actually, the core of it is an adventure where you actually progress through levels and you discover items and kind of like, as far as I can tell, uncover a story. But all that was available was sort of the arena fighter horde mode. And again, just before we fully get going here, I did talk to Dark Curry. What's up, Daniel, over there? Before the show, and I want, just because I didn't want to talk about this without clarifying it a little bit for you guys. We've been talking about this game for so long that in the PlayStation VR logo has been plastered on the front of their website for so long, next to the Steam VR logo, that I was like, man, I feel like if this wasn't coming to PlayStation VR anymore, they would have pulled the logo at some point off their website. We had seen little, I don't know if it was animated GIFs or just like short video clips that they'd posted on Twitter of them using a PlayStation VR and playing the game. We knew the game was up and running on PlayStation VR 1. And so, but then like literally 2 days ago, I think the day after my breaking news report where I pointed out that the logo is still there, they removed the logo. They removed both logos, the Steam and PlayStation VR logo. And as it turns out, there's no guarantees on the PSVR 1 version anymore. And I don't think this comes just as a surprise to anybody. We would have loved to have this as kind of as a closer, right? As a final game as PSVR 1 sunsets. But right now, the PSVR 1 version is up in the air. Definitely coming to PSVR 2. And they did not want to say, hey, the PSVR 1 version is canceled. They want to be very, very clear about that. It's just they're having difficulties with it. And it's all going to be like, are we going to be able to get this out? When? If we're able to get it out, when can we get it out? And does it even make sense at a certain point? So they haven't canceled it, but they are absolutely backburnering it in favor of the Steam and PSVR 2 version.
Yeah, it's dead, man. Because look, like PSVR 2 is going to be here in probably 6 months. And in Undead Citadel years, That's about 3 days, man. Like it's over. Like there won't be any point in launching this on PSVR1 when they finally launch it. Like I don't think anybody thinks this game is coming soon. Like they might get it out this year, but if they do, it's probably going to be at the very tail end of the year, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bet on that. It's probably going to be next year. And at that point, how much sense does it make for it to come out on PSVR? Not very much.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of what we're seeing left and right. Pretty much every developer that's making a game on PSVR1 has been like, oh yeah, as it turns out, no, we're just kidding, making up PSVR2 instead. And it has nothing to do with for most of these devs, like Among Us VR, Sirens on my end, I apologize. It seems like it has very little to do with their ability to actually get the game up and running on PSVR1. You see games like Among Us VR be like, easily runs on PSVR1 on the OG. Like they should have no problem whatsoever. But I think most developers are 100% aware that it's just not going to sell on PSVR1, and so they have to focus on what's going to sell and focus on where the market is. And so when this game comes out, yeah, PSVR2 should be in full swing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Wes, what was your experience with the Horde mode?
Well, I was happy with it. Now, I want to be really clear about what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
The Horde mode specifically, is something that I've seen before, right? We've seen it a bunch of times in a bunch of different games. But what makes me excited is kind of trying to take the polish that we're seeing from the Horde mode and kind of visually extrapolate that out into what a campaign might look like. That's what I'm excited about.
Yep.
Like the Horde mode, I mean, it plays almost exactly and looks almost exactly like another game I played on PC last year that I don't remember what the name of it was. It was some indie game on Viveport.
Okay.
But the physics are super cool. I mean, the physics are super well done. It looks good visually. Mm-hmm. There's lots of cool like items and things you can pick up, potions and bombs and this sort of thing. Good weapon variety. And I thought the voice actor on your character was awesome. Like when you first start the game and that guy yells out, you're like, yes, we're finally here. We're finally playing Undead Citadel.
He sounds like Kratos.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm super excited for the campaign. I think that will be awesome when we have maps to move through and, a progression of enemies and items and abilities. But the Horde mode itself, I mean, it was a Horde mode, right? It was okay.
It was a Horde mode, and these are generally not things that I care too much about in VR or in general, really. Like Horde modes, battle arena type games, or arena fighters, whatever you want to call them. I think a game like Swordsman is for a very specific type of person. A game like Gorn is for a very specific type of person. And so I was not totally looking forward to playing this. I was like, man, is this one of those games where I'm going to have to kind of make my own fun? Is this one of those games where I'm going to have to... And I, almost immediately, I just loved everything about it. Like, I loved the art style. The enemies with the glowing blue eyes just were so cool. All the weapons had just enough weight to them where I felt like, where the physics made perfect sense. I love being able to, crouch at the last second and kind of like take out their legs or do a shield bash. It just felt like everything just worked the way that it was supposed to. And unlike a game like Swordsman where they do crowd you, your enemies crowd you, these enemies absolutely crowd you, but it feels right. It feels like they're coming after you and attacking you, and you can still attack them in the way that they're meant to be attacked, and you can defend yourself the way you're meant to defend yourself. And so if they start crowding you, it doesn't feel like they're clipping into you or anything like that. It all just kind of works better than most of the games that I've seen like this so far. And I will 100% double down and say, with exactly what you were saying, Wes, when I discovered my first potion in the game, I was like, oh, this is great. There's items in the arena. It's like I went up a set of steps, and so there's verticality, and then there's like these platforms you walk across, and here's a green potion that freezes enemies, right? Yeah. Here's a red potion that increases your health. Here's a weapon that was hiding in this room that I didn't even know existed. I haven't, like, the exploration in this small arena was just really, really fun, even if it was only a 5-wave demo.
Yeah, and it's crazy as much as we rave about a game like Swordsman. This game, this little 5 level demo gets a lot of things right that Swordsman quite hasn't made it around to yet. Right?
Yeah.
Like for example, not one enemy spawns before your eyes. They all enter through doors. They all enter the arena
Yes.
through some place that you can't see. And you're right, they do crowd you, but that's because they're fast. It's like Army of Darkness, like these these evil undead like run you down pretty quickly. So you got to be on your toes. You got to constantly be watching your back. And there is a pretty wide variety of items that they bring with them. All the weapons have a durability rating, so like you're not going to keep your sword and shield forever. It's going to break. You're going to have to find new weapons.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of depth here for a short 5 wave demo. There's actually a pretty good lot going on here in terms of depth.
Yeah, it's strange too because when I played, so I played a bunch of times. This is probably the game I played the most, which is crazy because it was the shortest demo technically of all the things that I played, but it was the one I played the most because I just couldn't get enough of it. I enjoyed. You can see right here. I'm just like I'm crouching down, and these guys are crawling. I had taken off a couple of these guys' legs, and so they're just crawling at me constantly. And so then I crouch down and just try to like destroy their head or chop off their limbs, their arms, whatever. And I for some reason, even though I never even made it to wave 5, I got to wave 4 a bunch of times. There were surprises that kept popping up. There was some randomness to it. Like, did you? I'm assuming you experienced an archer.
I never saw an archer, and I did play through wave 5.
Twice.
Archers?
I saw an archer twice, and I even picked up
Wow.
his bow. I couldn't find any arrows to use, but I was like, "Oh, look! I can be an archer." Yeah, it's like I looked down and like I got hit, and I looked down and there was an arrow just sticking straight out of my chest, and I was like, "Wait, where did that come from?" And I'm looking around, and there's a guy like way over, and I'm kind of like bobbing and weaving and stuff, because I'm trying to get close to him because all I have is an axe. Right?
There was a couple of times I died and I didn't understand how. Like, there was no enemy around me. Like, how did they get me? I was calling shenanigans. It probably was an archer. That makes sense.
But I played a bunch of times and only saw an archer twice. And so there's some level of randomness, and then you can see there's a boss here, and the boss character is heavily armored, and it was just so much fun to slowly take down the armor and eventually expose his skull and be able to bash that. I don't know, man. Like this was probably the most fun. And I've played Gorn from start to finish. I played Swordsman from start to finish. In this to me, this little 5-wave demo of the Horde mode was in my book just everything I wanted those games to be.
Yeah, you would like Hellsplit Arena then, because there's a lot of similarity here.
Nice.
I think a lot of what you like about this, you would find kind of fleshed out a bit more in Hellsplit Arena. But I'm super looking forward to this campaign mode, dude. I think that it's going to be spectacular when it comes, if it ever comes.
Right, and so this leads to a lot of questions, right? Because I will say the one thing. Let me see if I have this footage handy. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this. But there was a while back, I mean, we're talking years ago, they released 9 minutes of like unedited footage of Undead Citadel, somebody playing through the campaign. And I think this is it here. Let's see. Yeah, story mode. And so you can kind of see how this is all going to play out. It's very, very similar to the Horde mode, except you're actually progressing through levels. My question is going to be like, just how much stuff do you find? Like, is there more stuff than just the red potion and the green potion? Is there more stuff? What's the weapon upgrade system going to be like in terms of, can you reinforce weapons that are going to break? Are you just finding them as you go? Do you have to defeat enemies to get their weapons? There's just so many questions that I have, and it may be more simple than I'm giving it credit for. Right? This may be a very, very straightforward game where you just walk through levels and you kill a bunch of dudes. But I'm really, really hoping there's like slightly more than we've seen.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of depth here, but I can say definitively that there are more than 2 types of potion/items. I think I found 4 myself. There was the ice one that freezes the enemies. There was a bomb that you can just throw the bottle and it blows up kills all the enemies.
I didn't see that.
There was one. There was one that I got at the very end of Wave 5 that I really don't know how it works. It's called Perception Potion or something like that. So you drink it, and I guess it allows you to see things that you typically wouldn't ordinarily see, but I didn't have any enemies coming at me at this point, so I don't know exactly what it shows you. But yeah, I think there's a wide variety of those potions that you can pick up.
Nice. Well, it's been in development for a really, really, really long time, and the fact that we finally get to play it, and it was. I will say the one thing that I was disappointed with was the two-handed weapons, and it wasn't because they weren't awesome, because they were. When you land a hit with a two-handed weapon, because you try to swing it with one hand, you're just absolutely screwed. It's not going to do anything. You do it with two hands. You can grab them from anywhere on the handle, and so I was trying to get like the biggest radius that I could to be able to. Be able to swing as far as possible. And so when I landed hits with two-handed weapons, it was awesome. Like those enemies flew across the screen. I just like fucking crushed them in one hit. Two things about it though. One, they break just as quickly as the one-handed weapons. Like they are cumbersome to use, and I would just expect that they would last like twice as long because they look twice as durable, and they're twice as hard to use. So it's like at least give us a little bit longer with these things. But the other big thing, and this is obviously a technical thing, is that sometimes I struggle to get both hands to connect to the handle. I'd like be holding it with one and the other one just wouldn't quite connect properly. Like it didn't know I was trying to grab the handle. And so sometimes I just had to look down at my hands and go, very consciously go, okay, now I've got a firm grasp of it. And so I think they need to tweak that just a little bit. But other than that, man, I feel like they delivered a very, very cool demo.
Yeah, I had a little bit of issue with the interactions. I didn't really use two-handed weapons a whole lot, but I did have some issues grabbing items out of my like holster slots. In the heat of battle, sometimes you want to just be able to grab that stuff without looking. And it seemed like I was fumbling around an awful lot trying to get a backup weapon or a backup shield. So I feel like if they allow us options to kind of place these slots a little bit better, that might work a little bit better in the long run. Something else that I remembered while you were talking about that, I think there was a strength potion as well, which allows you to actually one-hand these two-handed weapons and knock guys around pretty, for 30 seconds or whatever it was. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, those type of things really make you feel powerful. I didn't find that one, I don't think, but the one that turns your enemies into ice was just awesome because
great.
Yeah, these guys know what gamers want. So we'll just have to see. Oh, see, look at this. In this footage, now we're holding a candle and like going through this dark cavern. It's been a while since I watched this, so so if it seems new to me, it's because my memory's garbage. But that's pretty cool. Yeah. Little things like that.
I think this is the old version of the game. I think they reworked it to add physics. I think when they saw VR 2.0 roll in with the Saints and Sinners and Boneworks style games, that weapons with weight and your hands don't pass through items in the game world anymore, they said, hold up, we got to fix this. And I think that's why it's taking so long to get this game.
Yeah, I remember them tweeting, showing you having some kind of pick or axe and hitting the top of a bookshelf and like pulling it down and all these books falling off of it and just it was a very very tech demo demonstration saying this is what we've been working on. We revamped the entire physics engine. Look how fucking cool it is now. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, man, I don't know if this game has been in development hell. I don't know if this game is just taking a long time or what the deal is. But as you know what, I'm very happy that they are taking their time and making sure that it's right. They are one of the few developers out there who have not disappointed us with putting out a release window and then taking it away. Putting out a new release window and then taking it away. Putting out a release date and then not making that date. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, take your time. Take your time. As long as you're beholden to no one, then take your time and release it when it's ready. And that's what these guys have been saying since the very first time I ever contacted them years ago. They said, when it's ready, when it's ready, when it's ready. And you got to respect them for that.
Yeah, kudos to them on that. We'd always rather wait for a game than wait for a patch.
Yeah, and also thank you to Dark Curry. They asked me when I was talking to them today if I wanted to stream on their Steam VRFest page. Because I told them how much I loved the game, and I was like, dude, like you couldn't have asked me on a worse day. Like I've got to make it through GAMESCAST, and then all bets are off. Like I might just go back to bed after GAMESCAST is over. So they asked me on the worst possible day, but it felt really good for them to ask me that. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity at least. Wes,
Right.
these are certainly not the only games that are available on Steam VRFest, the only demos that are available to download. So if you do have access to PCVR, there's plenty of other demos to check out. There's plenty of other things that could potentially be coming to PlayStation VR2. I talked to a lot of developers over the last 48 hours and said, hey, your game looks awesome. What's the chance it's coming to PSVR2? And a lot of these indie devs say, we absolutely want to do it. But right now, we just got to focus on the Steam VR version, and that tells you just how many indie devs are out there trying to get their games finished one step at a time, right? So we wanted to make sure that we were covering games that are definitely coming to PSVR 2. I did play a bunch of other stuff. We know that Wandering in Space is coming to PSVR 2. I got to play that. That was a lot of fun. I got to play Electric Hat's sequel to the Top Super Kit, which you demonstrated. You demoed that on Virtual Strangers, Wes, and that was a lot of fun. And we'll certainly be talking about both of those games and lots of other games as we get closer and closer to PSVR 2, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We often kind of gloss over the fact that there are, tons of dev kits out there. But with a lot of these smaller studios, a lot of them are still waiting. And I talked to recently a fairly prominent indie studio, not a big studio, a small studio, but a well-known studio with well-known games that have already announced their game is coming to PSVR 2. They've already gotten the approval from Sony, but they're still kind of piecemealing dev kits together for their team. Like they don't have everyone doesn't have their own setup yet. They're still kind of getting a piece at a time in. So it's really slow going for them to get their fairly high profile title over to PSVR 2. So, when you talk to a lot of these, unknown indie devs, I imagine it's got to be even more difficult for someone like them to get everything that they need, let alone, start development and put the time and resources into porting, right?
Agreed. This was a lot of fun, Wes. I hope we get to do this again. Again, absolutely shocked. As somebody who doesn't, people are like, oh, what kind of graphics card do you have? What kind of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know, man, you speak another language. Like my computer was built for, for literally editing videos. And so I knew I was rolling the dice when I said, well, let's try out the Steam VR stuff. And very, very happy to find out that whatever I built 3 years ago is still up to snuff. But yeah, stop asking me what kind of computer I'm running because I have no fucking idea.
well, listen, like I have a beast of a computer.
Yeah.
I had to dial my settings back just to play Hubris yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
So the fact that you played it and streamed it and recorded it, like your computer must be nothing to sneeze at. It must be pretty decent.
I tried to future-proof it as much as possible. I'll say that when it came down to my shout out to my brother who is like if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't know how to do most things in life. One of the greatest people I know. He helped me build the computer, and he was the one who's saying, like when it comes to price, like what's your price range? And I was like, I just want something that's gonna perform the way it should perform as long as I possibly can. And so I kind of spared no expense when we did it the last time.
Nice.
So yeah, it was an expensive venture, but I'm glad it's paying off now, and I guess paying off for the last few years too. Wes, how do you feel about playing a little game of PSVR 20 questions?
Let's do it, man. I'm all for it.
Nice. I'm sweating, so I don't know if it's the 100-degree heat or if it's the fever rolling in. Either way, let's bring up a little 6-minute clock here. Do you have a game picked out?
I do.
All right. Well, then, if this is your first time watching, then this is how this works. Wes is thinking of a PlayStation VR game. Not Steam VR, not Quest. It's a PlayStation VR game. And you guys in the chat better fucking help me out. We have 20 yes or no questions to ask in order to figure out what game it is, and we also only have 6 minutes. So please help me with good questions, and also, as the answers to the questions roll in, give me some game suggestions. Let me know what game you think it is. On my mark, get set, go. Wes, does this game use analog sticks?
I don't think so, no. I don't think it does.
Okay.
Pretty sure it does not.
Would you consider it a puzzle game?
No, it's not a puzzle game.
Is what you're doing in this game mostly shooting?
Yeah, probably mostly shooting, but there's other stuff going on as well.
Okay. Let's go with the chat. Mancunian GameCat, Mancunian GameCat, dude, I'm so sorry. Says, is there full locomotion?
Yeah, full locomotion, for sure.
Good, for sure.
And let me rephrase. When I say it's mostly shooting,
Yeah.
It really depends on how you play. Like, I would play it as mostly shooting, but there are definitely other things that you can do, and you could play it without shooting at all if you wanted to.
Wow, well, that's a huge hint right there. All right, let's. We got some good questions. I'm gonna go with the chat. Kramer 3K asks, would you consider it a top 25 game?
No.
Okay. Mark Pringlesleaf says, is it from a known IP?
Yes.
Ooh.
That's 6.
Whoa. Has this developer made other PlayStation VR games?
Yes. That's 7.
This is good, guys. This is good. So to me, this screams Saints and Sinners so far, but no, because it doesn't use analog sticks. Wait, it doesn't use analog sticks. The beaver's creeping in.
Top 20, and it's not a top 25 game either.
But yeah, okay, so analog sticks checks out, but not top 25 doesn't check out. And Hitman is definitely a top 25 game. Awesome Tatum asks, does it have? We can't ask about aim support because we know it doesn't use analog sticks.
I don't think
Damn
it
it.
does. No.
It can't be Sirento because Mixed Realms never made any of the PSVR games. Sirento. Okay. This is crazy. Is there a flat screen version of this game?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I was thinking Onslaught, Kramer. Let's see. You don't have to shoot an Onslaught. There is full locomotion. It's based on an IP. They've made other PSVR games. No analog sticks. Not a puzzle game. It's definitely not top 25. No flat screen version. Was this made by Survios?
Yes, it was made by Survios.
This is obviously Puzzle Bobble 3D, you guys. This is obviously. Let's just absolutely make sure. Is this a Walking Dead game?
This is a Walking Dead game.
Wes, is this Walking Dead, the Walking Dead Onslaught?
This is the Walking Dead Onslaught. About as middling of a game as you can find, right? Like, it's not horrible. I think a lot of people say it's worse than it is because it's nowhere near as good as it should have been. It's just an average VR game, which is what we've gotten a lot from Survios over the last few years.
Yeah. Sadly, there's fun to be had here, but you can absolutely tell where things went wrong when they said, "Hey, we stripped out the 4-player multiplayer," and then you're playing those scavenging runs, which are a lot of fun even on your own for at least the first 20 times you do it. You can just I can envision 3 other people running around doing those scavenging runs with me, and how much fun we'd be having just like kicking down doors and just and avoiding the horde that's approaching.
You mean the red wall? You mean
the red wall that is supposed to signify a horde? Yeah, that was a a strange one too. But what are you going to do? Still, I think still fun, especially at the right price. As Wes said, it's very average, but I think they fixed a lot of the main problems with it. And if you can get it for like less than $10 or about that price, you can probably have a few hours of fun with it. So it's not the worst thing ever.
Sure.
I mean, Wes, I don't want to like stretch the show on like for no reason, but obviously Survios is sort of in the news right now. We're very, very curious to see what they do with the Alien franchise. We know that they have a VR Alien game coming to not only VR but also consoles and PC. Do you have faith in them to execute?
I know they can do it. They've done great games before, even recently or semi-recently, 2018, 2019, they did Westworld, which was really good. Although, um, Westworld's a very different type of game than what they're going to be making here with Aliens. I am a bit nervous when they describe it as an action game. Like that kind of makes me a little weird about it. Like, how arcadey is it going to be? Is there going to be any kind of suspense that there would need to be? If this is going to be a proper Aliens game, there needs to be a certain amount of nothingness to allow the tension to build, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see, man. They could nail it. They could blow it, or they could put out a very average, very pretty, but very average game. I'm interested in how it's going to be because it's not just a VR only title, right? This is going to be something coming to flat as well. So that's very interesting to me. I don't know. I can't wait to see some footage or some stills or something of this so we can kind of make out what they're going for here.
Yeah. I think that motion tracker alone, obviously we're going to have an amazing arsenal throughout the course of the game to take down the aliens with. But I think that I'm most excited to see how the motion tracker works in VR because I do think having that in your hand and wishing that, you could hold a gun in that hand or some kind of weapon in that hand along with it. I felt this way in Cosmodread too, right? Whenever I had to open a door and use both of my hands, I was like, I got to kind of like holster things or put things back in my inventory that I wanted to hold on to. So I think having a motion tracker in one hand as you kind of like, progress through the game is just going to add to the tension, being like, I just want to be dual wielding guns right now. Something. But that's what I'm most, and I know it's a strange thing to say, but that's the motion tracker is the thing that I'm most excited to see in VR. It's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it could be great. Alien Isolation is very, very terrifying in VR, and even especially like the early chapters of that game, there's not much action at all. It's just you hear things, things are close, and that's enough. You know.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I played Alien Trilogy on PlayStation 1 the other day, and I still had a blast with that. So wasn't the greatest game ever, but it was so much fun.
It's a great franchise. It's a great franchise. Like, really rides that sci-fi horror line perfectly.
Yeah. All right, man. We got to wrap this thing up. But thank you, Wes, for hanging out and talking PCVR gaming with me. You are the absolute perfect host to do these types of shows with. So I appreciate you very much, and obviously, I also appreciate your help over the last couple of days as I was getting everything working. So thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me, as always, man. Super appreciative. Love doing the show, and love all the game cats out there.
Before we leave, can you pimp Virtual Strangers a little bit? Is there anything happening over there in the world of strange VRness?
Oh, dude, we got tons of stuff going on. So not only are we covering the Steam VRFest tonight, we're going to talk about a few more of the demos. We'll probably rehash a lot of what we did here as well. We're going to point out a few sales, good deals on Steam VR games. Not only are we doing all that, but we're kicking Mod Month number 3 into effect tonight, where we're going to do 4 to 5 solid weeks of covering a different mod every week, VR mod for PC. And tonight, we're starting with Red Dead Redemption 2. So, in true Virtual Stranger style, we're going to pimp something that you can't have anymore. So as soon as they take it off the market, that's when we're covering it. But yeah, I've been playing Red Dead in VR. Spoiler, it's awesome.
That's really cool.
one more thing too. I've got a pre-recorded video coming up tomorrow, which is an interview with a couple of polyart developers, as Moss Book 2 is launching onto the Quest 2 platform tomorrow. And much like our friend AJ, I got a couple of these to give away. Only mine come with the game as well. So we're giving away a couple of these and a couple of keys for the Quest 2 version of Moss Book 2. So if you're interested in entering that, again, go click the big red button and ring that bell so that you'll be notified when the video goes up tomorrow.
Take that, AJ. Psst, very nice. All right, man. It's time to get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Also, shout out to our mods who are doing awesome work here and over on Discord. I don't think I pimped to Discord once during the entire show, but that is where all these cats hang out 24/7. That is where I hang out 24/7. I usually hang out in voice chat, which Discord is totally free to join, but if you want your name on that list below and access to voice chat over on Discord, that's just $3 a month over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. And for $5 a month, we're going to give you some exclusive video content. So far, there's been an AMA every month for the last few months, and AJ and I did an episode of Why We Love. We brought that back. Wes and I still need to film our next episode of Why We Love. We're going to do some Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife, and so hopefully a lot of reasons for you guys to support the channel. But if you don't feel like supporting the channel financially, do not worry in the slightest. We're just happy that you're here. Thank you, everybody that showed up today. Thank you, everybody who hung out in the chat. Thank you, everybody who donated during the show. And, of course, thank you to everybody who sat back and watched the show. Didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Let's go, Wes.
Let's go. Later, cats.
Yeah, what's the temperature over there?
It's been friggin' incredibly hot for about 6 weeks now. We've been in mid to high 90s, and in Kentucky there's a lot of water, so it's particularly humid all the time. People in UK, by the way, shout out to our friends being affected in UK. People are dying over there.
Oh my God!
From what has been happening here for a couple of months now. So hearts and minds, thoughts and prayers out to those over there. But I mean, they're ill prepared. Like, they typically don't have to deal with this kind of heat.
So they don't have AC in their buildings, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I only ask because I've been hearing about it for so long and hearing everybody struggle about it, especially in other countries, of course, but also in different parts of the United States. And I've been just super, super fortunate. Like where I'm here in Worcester, Mass. I feel like we've just been avoiding it, like dodging it every single day. It's been totally fine. It's been like low 80s and stuff. And I'm like, wow, when am I going to get hit? I got hit today. I got hit today, and it was man. If I didn't feel bad for everyone before, I feel bad for everyone right now. So keep up. Everyone try to stay in good spirits and make sure you stay hydrated. I drink a lot of coffee, and so that's how I'm keeping hydrated.
Don't go outside, whatever you do.
No, don't do it. And that's sort of the credo I live by to begin with. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, I'll tell you, man. If I was Tornado and I had a full body of fur, which I'm getting close, just feel bad for the pets. Should I give Tornado should I just get the clippers out and just shave off cut down the fur to halfway? I don't know. Never had a cat.
If you want to destroy that trust, go right ahead. Like, she trusts you now and loves you.
Yeah.
That'll be all over with if you chase her down with some clippers.
Oh, okay. She won't appreciate that in the slightest, huh?
Not at all. Not at all.
She's just laying there, man. It's like I could sneak up on her and totally.
You give her a faux hawk.
Yes. Oh, that would be so cool. A Tornado faux hawk. I mean, in my head, it's adorable. She would hate it. You're right. All right, man. Let's get out of here. Stay cool, everybody. We love you.